Good day. I am Melanie Foxcroft from MF Consulting, and today I'm starting a new series of discussions with an exceptional entrepreneur, Martin Creer, and he's also the owner of Tech Genius that primarily focuses on business automation. Welcome, Martin.
Thanks so much for that introduction, Melanie.
So let's jump right in. Tell me a little bit about who Martin Creer is. I know you've got lots of clients and lots of people that deal with you, but who is the person behind Tech Genius?
Well, Melanie, I'm probably a person who's always been trying to hide from the public side of things. So, I sort of feel like a deer in the headlights when you ask me who I am. That really puts me, in the public eye. But pretty much, I think the reason why I feel like that is, I don't really fit into a specific box. I've sort of discovered over the years that I'm not just somebody who loves technology, but I'm somebody who loves working with people as well. And it sort of took me a while to discover this space where I get to pursue both loves, working with people, getting to influence people, getting to influence businesses as well. So it's been quite a journey to get to this space. I think something else is I'm also a family man, been married for 13 years now, too young.
Wow. Congrats.
Thanks. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. And I've also got two energetic young boys. They definitely keep me from getting bored. So yes, that's probably in a nutshell
who you are. So, Martin, talking about Tech Genius, what is in the name Tech Genius? Why did you call it Tech Genius, and how did it all start?
Yes, I think, when people hear the name genius, the first thing they think about is people with high IQs, and that's actually not what it's about at all. Everything, we really try to pursue excellence, and that's why we chose the name Genius. It's got more to do with ingenuity. We try to, in this constant pursuit of ingenuity, and if we call it something like tech ingenuity, it just would have been a bit of a tongue twister. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, so we just ended up calling it Tech Genius instead. I've been in the industry for 21 years now. The first 10 years of my career I spent in the corporate world. So I started working as a software engineer in the electronic fire detection industry, and I was working there for 10 years. And I sort of hit the ceiling in my career there after 7 years, and the last 3 years of my career I was really bored there. So I wanted to step out, start my own business, but I just couldn't get myself so far to leave my cushy job. And then eventually, when there was a round of retrenchments, I was retrenched, and I sort of grabbed that as an ideal opportunity to start my own business. And when we started out as most businesses do, doing whatever our hands could find, doing software development, brochure websites, anything we could find to do. And yeah, we did that in the beginning. And then I realized that, the market was getting flooded with people doing websites. It became easier and easier to create brochure websites for things like WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, those kind of systems. And we realized that, I needed to focus on some kind of a niche. So because I've got such an engineering background, having been in the engineering field for so long, I was very comfortable working with complex systems and coming up with simple solutions and developing these systems from the ground up. So we really started focusing on this niche, where businesses have a need, where they can't go buy just a standard software package, and they need something custom developed for their business. So we started doing that, developing these systems for them. And it actually took us a while to realize what we were actually doing. And that's actually the term for it is, which we only realized at a later stage, actually business automation. The actual official term is business process automation, or BPA in short. So we first started doing it, and then we started realizing what we're actually doing.
Well, that's actually quite exciting to do it that way around, because you learn as you go, I suppose.
Yes, it basically all just started to us responding to the needs of business owners. And if you really think about it, what's the greatest need of any business owner? It's pretty much to not have a job, but to have a business. I don't think anybody starts a business with a dream of being employed again.
That's true. That's
So,
true. I like the way that you put it when we previously spoke, where you said business automation is about firing yourself. Can you
yes.
explain a little bit what you mean with that?
Yes. If you're full-time employed, you're working for one boss, and if you're working for your own business, you're working for all your clients. So you're working for multiple bosses, and that's pretty much the worst possible job you can imagine. So, we're trying to get people out of that situation, not being a slave to your business, but having your business that functions as an investment, standalone to yourself. So you need to figure out what is taking your time, what is time consuming, why is your business needing your input, and try and take those things and make it autonomous. So your business really can function without you. And that's why I sort of joke when I say firing yourself, but that's really the end goal, where you don't have to be there. Your business really is something that can operate on its own. And then it's an investment and not a job.
Well, Martin, I'm quite excited about your business when I looked into it a bit. And I see that I looked at your diagram and I saw that you've got some core values that you subscribe to for your business principles. Would you like to share that with us?
Yes, thanks. Actually, a lot of people or corporates, I think they write down these things, and it's something that's on paper. But this is really something that we really dug into and thought, what is our success recipe? And it's quite ironic. We deal with cutting edge technology, which is all very new school, and it's constantly innovation and things are changing, but our values is something that doesn't change. And
Absolutely.
And it's also one of those things that, I was very fortunate being groomed in the corporate world, where, corporate governance and compliance with all kinds of regulations like health and safety, also the company I was working for was ISO 9001, 2000 certified, and all kinds of these international standards that they had to adhere to. So I was very fortunate also that the company I was working for was very heavily invested in training, employees and all kinds of things. But so when I started the business, I sort of came from this foundation of doing things right, the first time around. And I think all of this is built on a basic foundation of integrity and discipline. I sort of like, I don't know if you know the coach called Larry Wingett. He's got this, he calls himself the bulldog of motivational speaking.
Yes.
And he's got this, his definition of integrity is doing what you said you're going to do, how you said you're going to do it, when you said you're going to do it.
Yes,
and
commitment.
Yes, and I mean, without that, there's no trust. There's no trust between a client and us as a service provider, and between me and my employees. There can't be any trust if you don't do what you said you're going to do. And you can't do what you said you're going to do if there's no discipline involved.
Absolutely.
So I think those are the two foundation values that we'll never compromise on. And I think on top of that, there are two fun things that gets added into the mix. The one is teamwork and the other one is innovation. And then there's another one that's not always fun, but it's also one of our core values, and that's respect. Treating our clients with respect, treating our employees with respect, our service providers, and it's a two-way street. We also expect our clients to enter into a win-win relationship with us, and we expect them to also treat our employees with respect at the same time. And then I think the final thing, which isn't really a value, it's more of the end result of doing these things, is basically excellence, and that's the ingenuity part of our business. I think if you have put all these things in place, then the end result will just naturally be excellence.
Absolutely. And tell me, for people who consider business automation in their company, what would you advise them to do, except of course for calling you?
Yes, well, it can seem a little bit daunting, and that's why we've got this 1 hour free brainstorming session that we offer clients. We just sit with them and just understand their world. Often you just need to it's important to take one step back and just reflect on what you're doing, how you're doing it, and why you're doing it. And what are the challenges between where you are now and where you want to be? What are the gaps? So a very good starting place is just to start drawing up a flow chart of all the processes in your business and understanding how everything fits together. the moment you take one step back and just look at the bigger picture, then usually it becomes obvious what you need to change in your business, and also the next step, how you actually need to change it. So I advise just taking a step back, looking at everything from a very objective perspective, and then things should become clear.
Well, Martin, thank you very much for all of that insight. I've certainly learned a lot today, not just about you, about your business as well. And I would love to continue our discussions in a follow-up interview with some services, advice, and the latest tech developments. So for all of you guys out there who's in need of business automation, you can get hold of Martin and by looking at his information on his website called techgenius.co.za. techgenius.co.za. Until next time, stay safe and watch the space for more discussions.